But
I
we
mean,
are heating up.
yeah, no, it's like they flipped the switch. That vote of confidence was a big deal. It was a big deal. You heard what DJ said after they made that statement. Recruits started hitting him up. That tells you all you need to know. And I think that there were probably a lot of guys that were feeling Florida, feeling Napier, feeling this staff, and obviously feeling DJ Lagway, but they were hesitant because what's going to happen here? There was so much talk about job security all season long, week after week. It had to have an effect on the recruiting trail. Other schools were using it against Florida. So now that that's dead, you've seen Florida's recruiting come alive.
Tell me if I'm correct in this assumption, because I said multiple things, right? You had the letter, which, like you said, kind of gave some resurgence that, okay, they're not going anywhere. People liked Billy. Like that. That's never been a question. I think players have always enjoyed what Billy Napier brings to the table. That's been good. There was a question of, job security. They also wanted to see some product on the football field, which was a little wobbly at the beginning of the year. It has going to
Yeah.
made a complete 180. So you've got security. The love was always there. We're playing some good football now. There's rumors of this extra money flying around. I mean, there could be maybe some more buy-in in that. Is all of that kind of, again, just coming together at the right time? Is that a fair assumption of you're 100% on?
No, I think those boxes are being checked, which is why that he's getting another year. This thing could have easily went sideways. Just go ask the folks in Tallahassee. I mean, the season can get away from you in a hurry. So the fact that, and look, not only that, not to just poke at the rivals, but we saw a Florida football team quit on Dan Mullen. I mean, they packed it up and went home.
They didn't quit on
me. They did not. They did not. And I'm telling you, man, this team, I mean, you can go back to last year too, but this team is, their starting quarterback getting injured away from, having a 10-0 lead at Tennessee and having a 10-3 lead against Georgia. And they almost still won both of those games.
So look, I think
and I mean, you could take it all the way back to last year when they were also up against another top 10 team in Mizzou on the road with a lead and lost their starting quarterback and still almost won that game too. Like most of the time when you're in those type of matchups and you lose your starter, game's over.
Sure.
Especially against Georgia. I know everybody thought when DJ went out, that game was over. And it wasn't.
The air was sucked out of the room for sure. And look, I think we say this all the time, and this is something that I've said even myself when I was kind of, I was after the A&M game, I was like, hey, it's time to back it up, guys. This ain't it. The gents, we're not done making you look sexy, okay? It's time to wrap up them cheeks in a nice pair of jeans. And I told you we've had the conversation about these jeans, boys. And I tell you, hand to God, I wear my perfect jeans every single day. Damn near every single day, I wear these jeans. Wash them multiple times a week. No rips, no problem. They continue to look brand new after every wash. I cannot stress to you how much I love these jeans, especially with a good pair of boots. Gonna give me a nice little bit darker pair. I got a nice light jean right now. These things are fantastic. Head on over to theperfectjean.com. Use the code Hightop15 to get 15% off. I promise you it's worth it. If you are a man like me that wears jeans every single day, you are nuts if you don't go check these bad boys out. You get to pick the exact size, height, everything you can need for the perfect jean. Again, use the code Hightop15. Look a little bit sexy this holiday season, boys and girls. Now back to the show. The team has never quit.
A lot of people felt that way.
Yeah, I wasn't alone. That was a big straw for me. I mean, but the team never quit.
Like an ESPN alert.
Yeah,
this is the funniest year because, like, they had the vote of confidence at the end of the year, but then, like, 3 games into the season, you're already getting an ESPN alert about a buyout. So it's like it's the weirdest roller coaster we've been on. Man, I've emotionally been on a roller coaster because of this year. So I mean, it's been wild. Like I think this is the most wildest year that I've ever been a part of, like Florida Gator football.
It's been exhausting.
The only thing I can compare it to is 2013.
Yeah.
All those injuries, another vote of confidence. you didn't have a LSU win though at the end of the year to like. The only thing Muschamp could hang his hat on at that point was he had a top 10 recruiting class. That was it.
We're getting there.
I guess he lost his starting quarterback Driscoll for the year, and then you had him coming back, so that was something he could sell. But Driscoll coming back is not DJ Lagway coming back. Those are two totally different things. And shout out to Jeff. He's still playing in the NFL. That's no shot at Driscoll, but it's
shout
no
out to
DJ
him, man.
Lagway. We got it. We got it.
The Lagway levels of hype or something we haven't seen around here since number 15 was playing quarterback, and not the most recent one.
Yeah, I will agree with that.
We know which 15 you're talking about. Look, man, so let's talk about this big weekend again. There's a lot of trend happening. We've seen this before. We get a lot of hype. Florida does. It hasn't closed out. I would say we've done okay. Maybe I'm just buying back in again, but there seems to be a little more optimism on Florida being able to close strong on some of these guys, given the fact of where they're coming from, FSU, right? So that's kind of where they're flipping them from. You got Solomon Thomas, Jamie French, Javion Hilson. Talk to us about these guys that are visiting this past weekend. Their running back, Byron Lewis, that four-star. I mean, it's insane. How are we feeling on some of these guys? How are you? I don't know. I'm sure you spoke to some of them. Give us the ultimate vibe of what's happening with this recruit so far.
Yeah, I mean, I've been keeping tabs. Corey and Keith are the guys that are talking to him, but I'm certainly asking around and keeping tabs on what's been quite the pickup in recruiting. I do think a lot of this stems from not just the vote of confidence, but Tramel Jones. I mean, that flip is a big deal. It could have a domino effect for Florida football recruiting and Florida State football recruiting because it's there for the taking, given the way that their season's going and how Florida has started to trend, at least in a better direction. It's not also just Tramel Jones. I got to give a shout out to my guy, Vernell Brown III, because he's behind the scenes working these dudes. And it started with Tramel, and all these guys played at SFE, man. They've all either played with each other or played against each other. And that doesn't mean that they're all going to end up at the same school or end up in Florida. But I think Tramel coming on board with Vernell, that's a big deal because those two are so tight with so many other recruits. And that kind of helps Florida get their foot in the door. And now the staff gets involved. Now the NIL offers start getting thrown on the table. Now the visit experiences are happening. The timing is working out for Florida. And I think that was strategic. I think that they've had Tramel in the bag for a while. And they were probably waiting on these things to happen so that it could lead up to these moments that Florida's now trying to take advantage of. So, but now they got to close. They're in not battles just with Florida State. They're fighting Texas with a lot of these guys. So it's not like they can just. It's going to be easy for the taking. You're also fighting some other big time programs, and obviously Texas just took it to UF. So I think some of these guys are going to be harder to land than others, but
sure,
Florida's going to get some flips, man, with the momentum that they have, with the recruiters that they have, the things now that are on their side, and the fact that they have stepped it up from the NIL, from an NIL standpoint with Florida Victorious. They're going to be in a serious player for these guys.
I don't know if you saw, we had Tramel on before you, and he kind of talked about that of, again, Florida never stopped. They were always in my ear, and same thing with Vernell Brown. It's like Vernell Brown was a big factor, and like you kind of said, it's like, look, when you add that piece, it was lacking a leadership, and that's what a quarterback does. There were some great pieces of this class, but and although you have DJ Lagway, it doesn't work that way. That's the brain doesn't work that way. You need that quarterback. A quarterback for a recruiting class is massive. It's what you build around that, and so like you said, that piece falls. It's like, okay, they've got something now. I mean, and it's at the right time. And this is what I kept trying to kind of tell Dave too. I said, look, I know we're kind of panicking, but last year we got plucked. This is when we were getting plucked, was right now. We had all these guys, and then they right towards the end, it's almost kind of what you want to be in their ear right at the last second and be the most freshest thing possible. You're not going to flip everybody, but especially if you're flipping them from a school that's having major issues like FSU, you can really do some damage.
Yep.
And it's important for Florida to show up on Saturday. Like if they win that game, or play Ole Miss the way that they played Tennessee, and then obviously you got to finish out the year with a win over Florida State. Like it sets up to have the momentum that you need. If you get a win Saturday, man, whew,
buckle up, baby.
they're going to be picking and choosing, because at some point too now you're going to save some spots for the portal. You're not just going to load up on all these high school kids. You're going to take the best of the best, and you're going to fill needs that you want to fill with guys that are coming in with 4 years of eligibility.
I've kind of said that. I said, look, I think we always kind of we have a top 20 or 25 commits, top 3 class. It's like you don't have. Not saying that's not always the answer, but you don't have to do that if you can act properly in the portal. You go get, let's say, 18, 19 guys, but out of that class, you're going to have 4 or 5 guys that can probably slide in, like an LJ, like a DJ, that have some kind of early in impact, and then you just go be extremely precise in the portal, which we've had some busts, but you've had some success. The same thing in recruiting. That's just how it is.
I mean, listen, man, I would argue that they don't get enough credit for some of the guys that they've gotten in the portal. I mean, I put out the tweet after the LSU game, but the amount of transfers that they had that had big performances in that game, like you don't win against LSU if these guys aren't on the roster. And I could have put more highlights in there, but Badger, DK, Caleb Banks, who's from the year before, is still transfer. Gums, which is probably their best find,
stud,
from the portal. Like what a get. And to get this former tight end to come in and play like he's playing right now. And then Triquez Bridges, like where would the secondary be without Bridges? This dude has played 2 different positions, leads the team in tackles, had the game sealing pass breakup. Like Badger, obviously when Florida landed him, I think everybody expected that he was going to make the impact that he's had. He's probably been a little bit better than when people expected. DK has been way better. Like I remember I first reported that they got DK because I was in bed on signing day I was behind the scenes in Florida's football offices, and they got DK's signature, and I kind of put it out on Twitter, and people went on the forum at Gators Online and saw who it was, and they were not happy with me. They were hot that I was like, I won't say hyping it up, but it was, they were excited about it, man. Like when they got DK, they were pumped about it, and you see why. I mean, the dude's been legit all year. So now, do they need to get more? Yes. Like you can't just rely on, great finds where you're leaning on your evaluations, which have been pretty good, but you're also not going to hit on everybody. And guys get injured, or some guys come in with injury things that maybe you didn't know about. But I would say though, man, like they've gotten more out of some of these guys than I think I expected.